Hi everyone, welcome to English Today Journey. And hey, don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy learning English in a simple and practical way.
Mistakes are not signs that you are failing. They're signs that you are alive and learning. Every mistake is an opportunity to improve, to gain confidence, and to become stronger. The more you practice accepting mistakes, the less power fear will have over you. The more you accept mistakes as natural and helpful, the more freedom you will feel to try new things without worrying about judgment or embarrassment. So, if you have ever been embarrassed, laughed at, or corrected in a way that hurt your feelings, remember that fear is normal, but it does not define you. It is a feeling, not a fact. You can take the lesson from the mistake, learn from it, and move forward. That is what growth really looks like. That is what courage looks like. Every successful person you admire, every fluent English speaker, every great artist, every confident leader has made mistakes. Hundreds, even thousands of mistakes. The difference between them and others is not that they never failed. The difference is that they did not let fear stop them. They made mistakes, learned from them, and kept going. Mistakes were not the end. They were part of the journey. Now I want to ask you, what is stopping you from starting? Is it fear of the unknown? Fear of being judged by others? Fear of not being perfect? Take a moment and think about it. If you could speak directly to that fear, what would you say? Maybe you would say, "Thank you for trying to protect me, but I don't need you today." Maybe you would say, "I know I might make mistakes, but I will learn from them." Or maybe, "Even if I fail, I will get back up and try again." The truth is, you do not have to wait until you are perfect. You do not have to wait until you feel completely ready. You just need to begin. Because it is this mindset that truly changes everything, not perfection, not performance, and not trying to be flawless. What matters is progress. Step by step, little by little, you move forward. Every small effort, every small attempt adds up. All of us carry a fear of mistakes in some way. Sometimes it comes from school experiences. Sometimes it comes from culture or society. Sometimes it comes from painful experiences in the past. But here's the good news. When we start to understand where this fear comes from, it loses some of its power. Once we recognize it, we can choose a different path. We can choose to act even when we feel afraid. Remember this. Mistakes are not the enemy. Fear is not the enemy either, but fear is something we often misunderstand. Fear is a natural feeling, a signal from your mind trying to protect you. It is not something to hate or avoid. When we understand fear, we can face it. We can say, "I see you. I hear you, but I will not let you control me." I can choose to speak, to try, and to grow, even if it is not perfect. Let that thought sink in for a moment. You are not alone in feeling afraid. Every person you admire, teachers, leaders, speakers, artists, professionals, has felt fear and made mistakes. They have all faced moments of uncertainty, embarrassment, or failure. What makes them remarkable is not that they were never afraid, but that they continued despite their fear. They kept taking small steps, learning from their mistakes, and moving forward. You can do the same. You can start now, even if it feels uncomfortable. You can speak English, try new things, make mistakes, and learn from them. Every attempt is a victory. Every failure is a lesson, and every small step is progress. Fear does not disappear completely, but it becomes a guide instead of a barrier. Mistakes become teachers rather than threats. And slowly, with each step, your confidence grows, your courage grows, and your skill grows too. So take a deep breath and remember, you do not have to be perfect. You only need to start. Each mistake is proof that you are trying, proof that you are alive, and proof that you are learning. Step by step, little by little, you are moving toward growth, improvement, and confidence. That is the power of facing fear, embracing mistakes, and choosing progress. Mistakes do not stop successful people, and they should not stop you either. A mistake is not a life sentence. Let's be honest. Sometimes when we make a mistake, it feels enormous. like the world is ending. We replay the moment over and over in our minds. We feel embarrassed, ashamed, or even frustrated with ourselves. But here's something I want you to really understand. Just because you made a mistake does not mean you are a mistake. There is a big difference. A mistake is an event. It is something that happened in one moment. Maybe you forgot a word. Maybe you said the wrong thing. Maybe you made a choice that didn't work out. That is all it is, a single moment in time. Being a mistake, on the other hand, is a label. It is when you take one wrong step and turn it into a story about who you are. You start saying things like, I'm a failure, I'm not good at anything, or this always happens to me. Do you see the problem? That kind of thinking takes a small, temporary slip and turns it into a permanent identity. And when you believe that identity, you stop trying and you stop growing. That's why it is so important to separate your actions from your self-worth. Your mistakes do not define you. Let's take an example. Imagine you had to give a presentation in English. You were nervous. You forgot a few words. Maybe you made some grammar mistakes. In that moment, yes, you made mistakes. But does that mean you are a bad speaker? Does it mean you will never get better at English? Of course not. It simply means you faced a challenge. It was a small setback, not a final judgment on your ability. Most successful people will tell you the same thing. They have made more mistakes than anyone else.
Why?
Because they were willing to try. They were willing to fail. They were willing to take risks. And because of that, they grew. Mistakes became their teachers, not their enemies. Each failure was an opportunity to learn something new, to improve, and to get closer to their goals. There is a powerful lesson in an old Japanese proverb I love. Fall down 7 times, stand up 8. It means that no matter how many times you fall or make mistakes, the important thing is to get back up. Keep trying, keep learning, and keep moving forward. Each time you stand up after a mistake, you become stronger, wiser, and more confident. Mistakes are not the end, they are stepping stones. Think about language learning as an example. If you avoid speaking because of fear of mistakes, you slow down your growth. Every time you try, even if you make errors, your brain practices, your skills improve, and your confidence grows. Every mistake is part of your learning journey, part of your path to improvement. The fear of failure may never disappear completely, but it becomes smaller and more manageable when you face it step by step. So remember this, a mistake is temporary. It is an event, not an identity. Your worth is not measured by the mistakes you make. Mistakes show that you are trying, that you are alive, and that you are growing. Stand up, try again, and embrace the learning that comes with every mistake. That is the mindset that leads to progress, growth, and lasting success. This is what real strength looks like, not avoiding mistakes, but rising again and again after you make them. There is an English idiom I love. Don't cry over spilled milk. What does it mean? It means there is no point in being upset about something that already happened and that you cannot change. Imagine you spilled milk on the floor. You cannot put it back into the glass. So what do? You clean it up. You learn from the experience. You carry the glass more carefully next time. And then you move on. Life is full of these spilled milk moments, small accidents, little mistakes, small failures. And that is okay. That is exactly how we learn, exactly how we improve. But often, we make a bigger mistake about mistakes. Instead of saying, I made a mistake in my writing, we say, I'm terrible at English. Instead of saying, I misunderstood that conversation, we say, I'll never be fluent. Do you see what happens? We take one small, temporary event and turn it into a huge judgment about ourselves. Here's the truth. Those thoughts are not facts. They are just stories we tell ourselves. They are beliefs, not permanent truths. And the good news is that beliefs can be changed. We can challenge them. When your mind says, I'm such a failure, pause. Ask yourself, is that really true? Or is it just how I feel right now? Can I look at this differently? What if this mistake is not proof of failure, but feedback for growth? Because that is exactly what every mistake really is: feedback. A mistake gives you information. It shows you what to work on. It points out what to avoid next time. It shows what is possible if you try again, with more preparation or more practice. Every mistake is a teacher, a guide, and a tool for improvement. It is not a permanent judgment of your abilities or your worth. It is simply a moment, and every moment is an opportunity to learn. Let me share a real story. A friend of mine applied for a job he really wanted. He spent hours carefully preparing his application. He studied hard for the interview. He gave his very best effort. But during the interview, things did not go perfectly. Maybe he forgot a few points he wanted to mention. Maybe he made small errors when speaking. Afterward, he felt embarrassed and disappointed. He thought he had failed. At first, he was frustrated. But then he took a step back. He looked at the situation differently. Instead of thinking, "I failed, I'm not good enough," he asked, "What can I learn from this experience? How can I improve for next time?" By thinking this way, he turned a mistake into feedback. He learned what to do differently in the future. He practiced his interview skills more. He improved his answers. And the next time he faced a similar challenge, he was stronger, calmer, and more confident. That is the power of seeing mistakes as learning opportunities. That is the power of separating a temporary event from your permanent identity. Every mistake, every spilled glass of milk, every small failure is a chance to learn and grow. The faster we accept that, the more confident, skilled, and resilient we become. Mistakes are not signs of failure. They are stepping stones towards success, mastery, and personal growth. The moment you start seeing mistakes this way, fear begins to lose its power and progress becomes possible. In the end, my friend didn't get the job he wanted. At first, he felt crushed. He said to me, "Maybe I'm just not good enough." That's a feeling many of us know, thinking that one failure shows we are not capable. But after a few days, his perspective changed. He started to see the situation differently. He said, "You know what? That wasn't a failure. That was practice. Now I know what kinds of questions they ask. Next time I'll be even more ready." This simple change in thinking is powerful. It is the difference between seeing a mistake as a life sentence and seeing it as a stepping stone. A mistake is just a moment. It does not define who you are. You are far more than any single action, choice, or event. You are a full human being with feelings, creativity, potential, and the ability to grow. Think about it for a moment. Would you judge someone else forever because of one mistake? Probably not. You would forgive them, and you would give them another chance. So, why not show yourself the same kindness? Mistakes are part of the process. They are not something to fear or avoid. They are the very thing that helps us learn. Learning itself is full of mistakes. We learn to walk by falling. We learn to speak by saying words incorrectly. We learn to cook by burning the rice or forgetting an ingredient. But no one stops walking, talking, or cooking because of these mistakes. And in the same way, we should not stop learning just because it feels imperfect. Mistakes are not the enemy. They are the path to improvement. Letting go of past mistakes is also part of growth. If you're holding on to a moment that made you feel embarrassed, small, or stuck, take a deep breath and let it go. That moment does not define you. What defines you is what you choose to do next. Will you stand up again? Will you keep going? Will you take the lesson and move forward with more courage and confidence? That is your choice. That is your power. Every mistake is just one sentence in your story, not the title of your life. You are not the mistakes you've made. You are the sum of all your actions, all your efforts, all the times you got back up and tried again. Every time you choose to move forward, even if it is messy, imperfect, or slow, you are growing. You are learning. You are becoming stronger and wiser. Even when it feels hard, even when it hurts, you have the ability to keep going. You can learn from every mistake, use it as a guide, and keep moving forward. Each attempt, Each failure, each lesson, adds to your experience. It adds to your confidence. It adds to your courage. And over time, those small steps become big achievements. So remember, your mistakes are not permanent. They are part of learning, part of growing, and part of life. The moment you start seeing mistakes this way, fear loses its power. You no longer need to hide, avoid, or feel small. Instead, you can act, try, learn, and move forward. Every step counts.